Good morning from Middleham and Spigot Lodge, the home of Karl Burke. We're here before the Royal meeting at Ascot to get the horses to follow, including Night Raider, who's recently been purchased by Wathnan Racing. Make sure to like and subscribe to Tote on YouTube to get more stable talks ahead of all the big Whirlpool meetings this summer.
Any down the bottom, Jeds? Let's. Do you want to come in the middle?
Yeah.
Are you going to have a go at that paddock, Leroy, today? Yeah. Okay.
I've got down, Carl, you got about 139 horses, is that right?
Yeah, that's how many stables are here. Yeah, yeah. There's, they're all full. It's fairly busy. A few waiting to come in as well, but. Happy with her Saturday after that work? Sorry? Saturday, yeah, entries today, yeah. All right. All the fillies then are going down 5 this side then, aren't they? Just 2-year-old, there's 12 fillies. Is Kelly out, is she? Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, you are out. You're doing a 5 down here. Molten Rock's going with you.
Okay.
I don't want to do.
Can I go?
Yeah, and I'll send the fillies out now. Yeah. Just do one more turn.
I think Ian said Vic
Molten Rock, I think. Yeah. All the fillies out now, are they? Is that Molten Rock? Yeah. Yeah, you go down. Just do a 5 this side. All the 2-year-old fillies can go. Follow them down now. Older horses just go one more turn and then. Actually, you can go. You can go. You're the first. Where you go? 2-year-old fillies down this side. You go far side and I'll come over and have a look at her, Pierre. 2-year-olds down this side. She's well. Right. 2-year-olds down this side. They're all on the way now, Ian. I've got my Jeep up here, so I'll head down from it.
Do you want me to go on near side or far side?
Yeah, you better keep an eye on the 2-year-olds this side then. I just want to go and see how that Lady LeFay warms up. Normal Monday then. Right, we'll jump in the Jeep.
So I've got you started training in 1991, is that correct?
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
How did you get going?
How did we get going? Well, I rode for 10 years as a moderate jockey, and then we started doing liveries for, you know, breaking and looking after resting horses in a property in Newark, still while I was riding, and it just went from there. I had no plans to train, and it, you know, people that we were sending horses back to and the trainers were happy, and then a few of the owners said if we ever did start training, they'd send us horses, as people do. And then when eventually we did take the plunge and I packed in ride, I wasn't enjoying the riding anymore, and started training, and then not many of them kept to their word and sent us a horse. We started with about 4 broken down horses, really. Should never have started training really when we did, because we had no money, no horses, And the place, we started training for where we were doing the breaking, and the facilities those gallops were very moderate. So quickly realised that we weren't going to be able to do the job at that place. So within 6 months, we moved from there to Broadway near Cheltenham, and rented a yard off a man called Michael Barrow, who had just sold out. Him and his brother were managers of Duran Duran, the pop group.
Yeah.
And Paul and Michael had sold out, and Michael had a big interest in horses, so he bought a farm and set up a training yard there, and the trainer that was in there at that time was leaving, so it dropped in that we went there, and we were there for 2 years, and I enjoyed it. Michael was a great guy, and Frances, his wife, and got on really well with them, and I did enjoy it there, but again, it was on clay land. The gallops weren't great, and we were starting to train a few winners, and then we moved from there after a couple of years to Ginge near Wantage.
Yeah.
And there were good gallops there, just in between. Andy Tennell was training in one village, we were in the middle, and Henrietta Knight was on the other side of us. And we were there, I think, for 5 years. Gallops were really good. And our gallops backed onto where Mick Shannon is now at West Ilsey. And, you know, we kept churning out more and more winners. And we were renting there, though. We owned a Newark, and there was a little property crash at the end of the 80s, I think it was. And we sort of, or when we just started training, there was a property crash, and we sort of walked away from that property without owing any money, but we didn't get any money out of it. And then we were renting at Ginge, and ended up basically falling out with the landlords. And we had to give a year's notice on the lease, and we had an owner at the time who came to us and said they'd buy a farm, and, you know, would we come and train for them and work for them and as a paid trainer. And so we gave our year's notice in, and at the end, 11 months later, they still hadn't found this farm.
Yeah.
So that caught, you know, by that time we had fallen out with the landlord, so there was no way of sort of staying there. And the only place, as we'd been training a few winners, the only place that we could house all the horses that we had, about 50 horses at the time, was ended up in Newmarket. We couldn't find anywhere around Lambourne or anything like that, so we went to Newmarket. Didn't really want to go there. Rented again on Hamilton Road, and kept having winner. You know, we had an Air Gold Cup winner just before we left Ginge to go to Newmarket. Darren Destiny won, was it? Can't remember if she won the second. That must have been the second Air Gold Cup winner we had when we just moved to Newmarket. And things were starting to roll. And again, we were renting, and then we got ourselves in a position that we wanted to buy, but what we wanted in Newmarket we couldn't afford, and what we could afford we didn't want, you know. So then we heard Spigot Lodge was coming up for sale and could be bought. I don't think it was officially on the market, but one of my owners knew we were looking, and knew Guy Reed at the time, and said, why don't you go and have a look at that? Obviously it was a huge move to come from Newmarket up to here. But that was we moved here on January 2001. So we've been here 24 years now.
Despite you only having a few hours sleep, you got a remarkable memory.
Well, no, I can remember that all right. I don't know, my memory lets me down sometimes.
And you've had over 1,700 flat winners in the UK, and your first Group 1 was in 2009 in France, is that correct?
Yeah, the Lord Channicka was our first Group 1, which 2 weeks later I picked up a year ban from the BHA, so that was a bit of a real kick in the teeth to have your first Group 1 winner and then lose your licence, like, you know. So that really knocked the stuffing out of us. And at that time we were, I was a bit disillusioned with racing here and what happened. So we were having a lot of runners in France and winners, but not big winners. Although obviously Lord Channicka won in France, but we were sending quite a few horses over there for claimers and stuff. We had a good angle on what you needed to win claimers out there, and it was a good way of moving horses on that wouldn't have fetched anything at the sales. So we sort of went over there and looked at a lot of properties and had every intention of moving, selling up here and moving there. And again, I don't think properties weren't moving at the time, and we couldn't sell Spigot Lodge. And thankfully it didn't. It all fell sort of through, and then Elaine got her licence back for. They wouldn't give us even Elaine's licence for a couple of years, but in 2013 Elaine got a licence back, and I was down as an assistant. And then we were lucky enough to bump into Libertarian, who won the Dante that year, and things just gone. The last 12 years they've gone really well, like, you know. All mushroom from there.
And you've had 14 Group 1 winners, but the ball
I thought
really
it was more than that. I thought it was 15.
might be my bad counting.
Yeah, well, I think there's. Don't ask me to name them, but I'm sure there's 15.
There might be one in France maybe that I haven't counted, but things really started to get rolling. You had your first century in 2021, and ever since you've had 100 wins in each season. What happened in 2021?
What happened in 2021? I'm not sure. I mean, we're always pretty consistent around 60, 70 winners sort of thing. I think we probably got more horses and obviously better horses, and you know, things just snowballed really.
Yeah.
It's and you know, I think it probably coincided as well with Lucy taking more of a hand. She became my assistant, and she's a brilliant horsewoman. And you know, as we got bigger numbers, you know, we needed more people, and Lucy's been a big help, and Kelly runs the office, my eldest daughter. So you know, that certainly helped as well.
I read on your website that you said you wished you had more kids so they could all work.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have trained jumps winners as well. You had the Grade 2 Mayor's Hurdle winner at Doncaster in 2015, was that?
Yeah, Intense Tango.
Why don't you train more jumpers?
I haven't got the patience for it. I love training the young horses. Like, you know, I love buying yearlings and bringing them on and producing them. And to be honest, I take my hat off to the jumping guys, A, for their patience, and B, being able to train those horses and keep them sound for so long. I love the idea, you know, when the big meetings are on TV, and love watching the jumping still. And you always sort of think, oh, I wish I had a runner in these big meetings, but you know, the heartache of getting a horse there, you know, it's 9 times out of 10 it's not if a jumping horse gets injured, it's when. And you know, I just prefer training flat horses, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I prefer training the young horses, though.
Where's some of your favourite race courses?
Favourite race courses? I think York stands out above any track, I think, in the country, and obviously it's local to us, so that's a massive advantage for us. And they're so well run, the prize money's great, it's a fair track. So I'd have to say York. I like going down to Goodwood. We have a bit of success at Goodwood, and it's a lovely place to go down. We use that as a bit of a break for the glorious meeting.
Yeah.
But then I love going to Thirsk and Ripon on a summer evening. It's again close to home, 25-minute drive, and you're home early, and they're nice tracks, like, you know.
We're around the corner from Royal Ascot now. James will touch on a few of the individual horses, but how's your team looking for that?
Touchwood, good, but there's 2 weeks to go. A lot can happen in a racehorse's life in 2 days, never mind 2 weeks. So, you know, yeah, we look as though we've got a big team and on paper a good team, but I've been down there before thinking we'll have 3 or 4 good chances, and you walk away with nothing, and it's so competitive down there, you know. It's very, very difficult. If we can get one winner, it'll be brilliant. But yeah, we've got some nice horses going down there.
And jockeys, I suppose Clifford Lee's your main man. He's rode most winners for you, but who else do you like to use, and how does that sort of dynamic work?
Well, Cliff joined us as an apprentice from Newmarket. He'd only ridden 2 winners, I think, when he came to us. He was pretty raw, but yeah, he's progressed into a good jockey. You know, he rides well. He's very, very physically very strong. So Cliff sort of rides out 3 or 4 days a week, or if I wanted him, he'd ride out every day of the week. But and then Sam James is Kelly's my eldest daughter's partner, He rides out 2 or 3 times a week, and we use him a lot. And then Pierre-Louis Juman was my apprentice. He's still here riding out, and he's been pretty lucky. You know, he gets on the odd horse and it works.
Brilliant.
And then a couple of apprentices. Jack Nicholls just joined us this year. He's going to, hopefully he can make some inroads in this year, you know. He's a good rider. He's just struggling with his weight, I think, a little bit, so not sure what will happen with him, but he's ridden us a few winners. But I like giving the lads chances. Oh, sorry, I just want to get my binoculars. Okay. Where's Brock today?
He's got today off. Our granddad's 90th just moved
Ah.
that.
She goes to Royal Ascot. James Dawes coming up on Wednesday to ride a bit of work on a few of the Wathnan ones. So she needed that first run, and we knew she going into the Lock-Inge that she was going to need that. But we were delighted with the run, to be honest, on ground that was a bit quick for her. But she goes for the Duke of Cambridge, the Group 2 fillies, and I'd say she'll probably be, if she's not favourite, she'll certainly be second or third favourite, that's for sure. And if the ground's not too quick, she should put up a good show. You know, she's definitely stepped forward for the Lock-Inge run.
Also entered a pretty poly in the Sussex Stakes as well.
Yeah. Look, the Wathnan guys they're brilliant to deal with. They just, entries are no problem. You know, they'd rather have them in than not.
Yeah.
I mean, those races would be very tough for a filly, but if it turned up, one of them turned up with a bit of ease in the ground, which is what she's at her best in, then you know, we'd probably take a chance.
Do you have a few Wathnan horses? I saw you have a few 2-year-olds. We've looked at potential nice times.
Yeah, we've been very lucky. Obviously, we had a great year at Ascot last year with LEOVANNI winning the Queen Mary and Shareholder winning the Norfolk. So we hit very lucky there to get those 2 horses last year, and consequently we've got sort of a few more again this year. And there's Colt ran at Beverley in the Brian Yeardley first time out. He ran a super race, and if he'd have jumped a bit smarter or we'd have been a bit harder on him in the race, then I think he'd have probably taken all the beating. Again, he works Wednesday. James Dawes coming up to sit on him. He hasn't sat on him yet. Not sure yet. Still debate whether he goes for the Norfolk or for the Coventry.
Is that Naval White?
Yeah. But he's a lovely horse. You know, he's a very, very nice horse. He hasn't worked since Beverley, but he'll work on Wednesday, and then we'll make our minds up which way we go, I think. These are just some 2-year-olds going into canter up now.
Plenty windy up here today, isn't it? Jeez. Is it always this windy here?
Can be, yeah. If you're here in the winter, this is just a little light breeze for the winter. But there's nothing to stop it, like, you know. It's always that northwesterly wind that comes down and hits them in the face. One in front is LIAMARTY Dreams that Kelly's riding, my daughter. He runs tomorrow at Nottingham, if the ground's not too quick.
Good handicap, isn't
he? He's been a good servant. You know, he's starting to regress a little bit now, but wants a bit of cut in the ground. And then these are 12 fillies, I think, cantering up now. Most of these are unraced. That's one in the middle there is Ali Shuffle. She's one of 3 on the bounce.
Won the Lily Agnes.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she goes. I'm not sure whether she'll go for the Queen Mary or go back to France.
Try and get some black time.
Yeah. Obviously, we were going to run in the Hillary Needle, but we had other horses for that. And that's lost the black type, hasn't it, Hillary Needle? So yeah, that'll be the next step, is to try and get some black type. Ian, what was Sabu on?
What do you make of LEOVANNI's run at Haydock on Saturday?
She ran a great race. She definitely could have run the race and probably should have won the race. But the idea, she hadn't been back with us that long, and she was pretty sore at the end of last season, so she had a good long rest of the winter. And the idea, we had no real plans for her, and then she was training so well, we said we could get her ready for Ascot, and she continued to train well. So I said to the Wathnan guys that, you know, that race, rather than keep galloping her at home, would give her a nice run, and that'll put a spot on for Ascot. And she'd been working quite strong and keen, so I didn't want to run in flat out from the front, and Will tried to just get her in behind the leaders, but he ended up getting shuffled too far back, and the first thing he said when he came in, he apologised, he said he should have won, you know. So we were delighted with the run. It was a bit unfortunate she didn't win, but look, it wasn't the end of the world. It was a perfect prep run for Ascot, really. Yeah. So she'll run in the Commonwealth and step up to 6, and riding her like she was on Saturday, I think she'll get the 6 well, you know.
SPYCATCHER ran in the Johnny Gone, also ran a good race at the weekend.
Yeah, he ran a great race. I think 7 is just 100 yards too far for him, and he wants softer ground, but he travelled into the race as well as anything, and just didn't see it out, really, you know.
Well, elite status gone to Royal Ascot?
Yeah, he goes for the 6 furlong race on the Saturday, all being well. A little bit disappointed with his run at York, but I think you know, Night Raider went a hell of a gallop there, and I think he got tired. I think elite status got a bit tired, and he's come out of the race really well, and so hopefully he'll get there and have a chance of at least a place. It's Fallen Angel there. So that's their usual Monday morning canter for the older horses.
How many times do you go on?
On a Monday they'll just go, that's it, they'll walk home now on the far side of the more 2-year-olds. 2-year-olds just do a 5 canter, and any horses that probably run tomorrow, they'd only do a 5. The grass is still so firm, like, you know. Could do with another couple of inches of rain before we get a chance to use it.
Just looking at some of your entries, will Night Raider go to Royal Ascot?
Night Raider goes for the King Charles, the 5 furlong race now. Yeah, no, I mean, he's a horse, a lot of speed, and you know, we tried to turn him into a Guineas horse as a 3-year-old. He won twice over 7, and I thought he had a chance of staying the trip, but it was blatantly obviously, you know, he's a horse who just wants to get on with it, and he's at his best when he's got his head in front and just bowling along, and he's got a lot of natural speed. Although he's won it twice at 7, he's won at 6. You know, he looks like a 5 furlong horse, so we've had the trip wrong all along, so he'll run over the 5. Won't be an easy race, but whatever, if he turns out there in good form, whatever beats him will know it's had a race, that's for sure.
QAREEM won the Cumberland Lodge at Ascot. Will he go back to Ascot? Yeah.
Not for the Royal meeting, no. He'll go to York a week on Saturday the 14th or 14th, I think it is, for the listed race, the mile 5 listed race there. And then after that, whether he runs again between then and the Irish St Ledger, I don't know, but he'll be aimed at the Irish St Ledger.
It's one of those at Chester twice.
Yeah, he probably, if there's a listed race at Chester, which we'll probably use as a prep run for the Irish St Ledger, but love to have a go at that. The track and the trip should suit him well.
Lethal Levi, cracking sprinter. Was he going to Royal Ascot walking, is it? Or anything?
No, I don't think so. No, I'm not even sure he's qualified for the Wokingham now. I think he's too high in the handicap. No, we'll stick to group races. I made a mistake, and after he finished 3rd in the Abernant and ran a great race first time out, I sent him back to Newmarket for that handicap. and he was giving £18 away to progressive young sprinters, and you know, he ran a good race, but it wasn't fair on the horse really, and so we dropped him back to group race on at the KORKER, and he ran a blinder, just literally missed out there. So we'll stick to group races for now anyway.
Another good sprinter is KORKER. Will that? Is he?
KORKER, yeah, he's going to run at Hamilton on Thursday, I think it is, Thursday or Friday. He will go for the Wokingham.
Yeah.
But he's a bit of a hit and miss horse. You know, when he runs well, he runs very well, and sometimes he'll fluff his lines. You know. We'll jump in and catch these up again.
Royal Rhyme's got some nice entries. Will Prince of Wales see Coral Eclipse?
Yeah, possibility. I wouldn't want to run him on fast ground. You know, I mean, he's just knocking on the door, and in the Group 1s, if it ever drops lucky that he gets soft or heavy ground on it in one of those Group 1s, then I think he can be really competitive, like, you know, over 1.25 miles. So we ran him 2 or 3 times last year, taking a chance on good ground, and he ran respectively well, finishing 3rds and 4ths and 5ths. But you know, he's much better. He's a proper soft ground horse. So the Champions Day at the end at Ascot usually comes up with decent ground or soft. That's where I think he's got his best chance of winning one of those Group 1s.
Rebels Gamble looks at another nice prospect. He's got some entered.
Yeah.
Is it Epsom on Friday?
He is, yeah. I'm not sure he'll run, but he's in great form. We're just not 100% sure the track will suit him, but I suppose we won't know unless we try. So cut across here. I'm not supposed to cut across here. Yeah, he's a good, solid, listed type horse. He could, if he ran there, he could go for the Jersey at Ascot, or we could miss Epsom and go straight to the Jersey. I need to speak to the owners really on that one.
A 3-year-old filly, Victoria Harbour, won the Height Fashion at Goodwood.
She's retired.
Oh, is she?
That was her derby. I mean, to be honest, bless her, she was the sweetest little filly, but she's so small, 373 kilos. I mean, you'd have bigger Great St Bernard dogs than that. But no, she's a beautiful bred filly, and we were just trying to win a little novice with her, which we did at Wetherby, and we thought we'd got the job done then. I thought that Sheikh Mohammed Obeid would want to retire then, but he said carry on, and then obviously we went and won the listed race. Both times given a great ride, I must say, by Pierre Louis Germain, especially at Goodwood. He gave that a cracking ride and nicked the race really. But I hand on my heart, I think the second horse was rated 89, I think, and the third horse was in the 70s that day. So I think we pinched a week listed, and rather than persevere, and she'd done her job then, and so she's retired to stud.
ALMOSH'HER, unbeaten.
ALMOSH'HER.
Looks a promising type. What sort of plans have you got for him just going forward?
He goes. Wathnan have now bought him as well, so he goes, as well as Night Raider. Wathnan own him now as well, so he goes for the 1.5 miles at Ascot, and then hopefully for the Ebor. His win at York the other day for us, his first run for us, qualified him for the Ebor. So that's the plan for him. You happy with him, Matt? Brilliant. Oh, that's good. That's Royal Champion. He could possibly go to Ascot. He's entered in the same race, the Prince of Wales, the Mile 2, Group 1, but he could go for the 1.5 miles Group 3. We might step him up to that. It might be an easier race if he gets the trip, but he's not proven at the trip. But I know Sheikh Obeid was keen to try him at a 1.5 miles there. He's a lovely horse, and obviously won the Winter Derby and won another listed race for a couple of races for us, so very happy with him.
Liberty Lane's another Sheikh Mohammed Abeid horse. Liberty Lane.
Yeah, he not sure where we'll go. Obviously he won the listed down at Goodwood last time. He'll step up, probably try and find a Group 3 for him somewhere. Came out of that race fine, but no firm plans for him. If he did go to Ascot, it would be in the 1.25 mile listed, the Wolferton. I'm hoping Sheikh Abeid doesn't want to run in there, because I've got another horse that I think can win that, and it'd be a shame to run the two against each other. But if Sheikh Abeid wants to, then you know, that's where he could go there, really. Again, he wants a bit of juice in the ground.
What was the other horse for the Wolferton?
Thunder Run. He won the handicap first time over a mile and a quarter. Stayed that trip really well. So he's owned by some Scandinavian owners that have never had a runner at Ascot and were mad keen to go there. So that looks a good slot for him.
He won a nice handicap at York, didn't he, last season?
Yeah, he won well. He only won ahead, but he had a fair bit left in the tank, and so I think he's a proper sort of Group 3 type of horse.
The BOLSTER won a nice race at Epsom last year in Oaks.
Yeah, he could have an entry now today over 1.5 miles a furlong there. There's a listed or Group 3 race. He's really a 1.25 mile horse with cut in the ground. I mean, they usually do a fantastic job at the Derby meeting on the ground, so just need to have a look. But he could possibly have an entry there and go there this Saturday. If he doesn't go there, then we'll just have to wait for the right ground for him, really.
Poet Master ran some good races last year.
He did, unfortunately. He injured himself on his first run when he ran at the Curragh. So he's out. Hopefully he'll be back for the autumn, though. It wasn't a serious injury, but enough to keep him out for 6 months.
He ran well the back end last season, the Prix de la Forêt and races like that.
He did, yeah. He loves that bit of juice in the ground as well. So we'll wait for an autumn campaign with him, and if he doesn't come right, he'll be bang on for the start of next year.
Another good horse for you. Marshman's been very good.
He has, yeah. He's a good listed class sprinter. You know, I think maybe a Group 3, but I don't think he's better than that. He struggled against the Group 2 horses at York last time. There is a race he's entered for abroad, and I can't think where it is now. But there's a race abroad anyway in the next 2 races. I think there's a race I think it's a race in France actually, so he could possibly go there.
I was looking at some materials. There's one entered on Friday in the Woodcut, Blue to Blue.
Blue to Blue will go. He won first time up at Southall. Nice colt. He's tough colt. He's probably got his limits, but rather than go and run in it with a penalty and another novice, we thought we'd have a go at. All right, we'll have a go at the Woodcut. Obviously, it used to be a listed race. It's not now. I mean, it looks a hot renewal of it, to be honest. Probably a lot of horses there having a run before they go to Ascot, you know, for the Coventry or something.
How many 2-year-olds would you have got?
There's about 80 on the books. There's not 80 in the yard at the moment, but there's 80 on the books. But there's some lovely horses to run later on in the season, and quite a few of them will be better as 3-year-olds as well. So plenty to look forward to. But the early ones, the sharp ones, have all performed really well. So
is there like a particular type of horse you think you do better with than others?
I hope not. Hopefully we can train any type of flat horse, but you know, I think the system we have with the 2-year-olds or the yearlings works really well, and you know, they're always very well educated, and you know, we get off to a good start, most years with the 2-year-olds. We're able to sort of pinpoint those early speedy ones. But equally, we've plenty of nice 2-year-olds that come along later, and we've done well with them over the years as well. So, but I think this year in particular, I mean, we've got some horses yearlings that cost a hell of a lot of money, and they've got big pedigrees, and obviously we take our time with them and bring them along, and most of them will be better at 3, so they'll probably only have a couple of runs, maybe 3 runs this season hopefully, and then on into 3-year-old career. We didn't have an entry in the Guineas this year, but I'll be disappointed if we don't have a few entries in the Guineas for next year. There's some lovely animals there.
Who's that, Caleb? Okay. All right. Right. She didn't warm up at all, no? Okay. Okay. She better in that draw rein?
Venetian Sun looks a nice 2-year-old, part owned by Tony Blue.
Yeah, she's a lovely filly. She'll go for the Albany.
The winners, the horse that beat boosted the form won the Hillary Needler as well.
Exactly.
Nice form boost that.
Exactly. Yeah, she's a very tough filly of Tim Easterby's, but look, she was very green. She'll come on a bundle. She's got a couple of pieces of work to do before she goes into the Albany, but all being well, she'll get there.
Clear Force ran in the listed race last week at Sandown.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing. I still think I think the ground was on the dead side. I don't think it was real slow ground, but it was on the dead side, and I don't think that suited him. And I may just have left him a bit short as well. He had a real good blow, but I doubt whether he's going to go to the Royal meeting now. I think we'll lower our sights. Don't quite see him as being a Norfolk horse, and I mean he could go in the Windsor Castle, I suppose, but I need to speak to Sheikh Rashid, his owners, and decide what we do with him. But I would say there's every chance he'll skip the Royal meeting.
Super Soldier's done well so far as well. Went close in the listed race at Shanty.
Yeah, yesterday, yeah, he ran well. Again, not sure he'll go to Ascot. Not sure what we do with him really. He'd run well in a Windsor Castle, I think, but whether he'd win one or not, I don't know. Probably won't stepping up to 6, but I don't think he might not be quite good enough for a Coventry. Yeah, Ice Max, another soft ground horse. Just waiting for the ground really with him. He's been ready to run for all since March, but obviously we had that big dry spell. We managed to get a run into him, and he needed it badly. But yeah, we're just waiting for a bit of rain really.
Is there any unraced 2-year-olds that will go straight to Ascot for the first run?
No, no, I don't think so. We run a very nice filly on Wednesday called Zelaina of Wathnan's, and if for any reason she doesn't run on Wednesday or can't run on Wednesday, she could possibly go for the Queen Mary first time out, but I think she'll get there. We'll declare her this morning, so yeah, she looks very smart.
Flight plans owned by Fine Carrot Racing, and I'm guessing Chris Wood, the Premier League footballer.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, Chris has had horses with us in partnerships for a few years now, and he's a real enthusiast. He's he's a good guy, loves his racing, and he's involved with Jason Fields, who runs a few syndicates, who's Flying Parrots being one of them, and Clipper were selling a lot of horses, and I wanted to keep him, so I managed to do a deal with Clipper, and Jason was keen to take a piece of him and got Chris involved with the leg as well. Obviously he went and won first time out for them, which was great. He'll probably run at Epsom this week. He's either in the handicap on Friday or the Group 3 on Saturday. More likely the Group 3, I think.
Has Chris ever had you down to a game?
Yeah, when he was at Burnley, we used to go across for a few games, and when he was at Newcastle, we went for a few. I haven't been down to Forest yet, but yeah. I nearly went a couple of times this season, but I'll definitely go next season.
One that I don't think you touched on in the car was Native Warriors entering the Royal Hunt Cup.
Yeah, hopefully he'll get in there. He'll be entered in the 7 furlong Buckingham Palace as well. 92, he's right on the cusp of where he'll get in. We tried to win a race last week, and I thought he would win at Windsor to get the penalty to get him in there in either race. The Hunt Cup is the one we want to go for, but if he doesn't get in that, he'll go for the Buckingham Palace.
The Watcher's a nice 3-year-old colt.
He's injured at the moment. He won't run till next year now, I don't think.
Love Olivia, I'm a racing 2-year-old.
Yeah, she goes for the Queen Mary. Very fast filly. Ended up making too much use of her in the Merrygate at York, and into a headwind as well. And she just got ran out of it. But she ran very, very well. Like, you know, she's a fast filly. She'll be better with a little lead and a turn of foot. You know, she's a good filly.
And Reciprocated, you've got entered in Nottingham on Wednesday.
Yeah, nice colt. Wants a little bit of ease in the ground. Hopefully it doesn't dry out any more than it has. There's a few showers around, but he'll run on good ground. And he's a nice colt. He should run well, but I think he'll be at his best when there's a bit of soft in the ground in the description.
And you touched on the Wolferton horse that you really fancied. What else would you really come to Ascot with a big hope for?
There's loads that have got chances, but chances don't always turn into wins at Ascot. But yeah, Night Raider's very quick if we get him there in good shape. It's not the easiest track to make all on, but he's very fast. If you're going to make all, I think 5 furlongs you can do it there. Obviously the 2-year-olds I really like. Naval Light, is it? The filly that runs on Wednesday looks very fast. So, you know, we've a few chances with the 2-year-olds, but it's tough, like, you know.
And finally, you've been going a long time, and you've now got I think James said a lot of horses over 100. How do you do it? Like, how do you keep on top of everything?
It's not easy. The entries is I spend a lot of time on it, and it's one thing that I could probably do with somebody giving me a bit more of a hand. But I enjoy it, but it is hard to keep on top of it. And you know, everybody was getting excited. Oh, we've got 28 rated over 100 at the start of the year. A couple of them have disappeared now and got injured. But problem is, you know, everybody's getting excited. Oh, we're having a great year. But those horses are going to be running in good races, and they're tough to win. You know, they're competitive, and so they should be. So yeah, it can be a bit frustrating when you've got a good horse and you end up having to run in very good races. So it can be tough.
Is there one race you haven't won that you're desperate to win?
I haven't won an English Classic yet. We've won the French Oaks and Irish Guineas, obviously. Been second in the Derby, second in a English Guineas. Love to win the Derby, but I'd love to win a Guineas as well. So we'll keep trying. Like I said, I think we've got some lovely 2-year-olds this year that hopefully will develop into those type of horses for next year.
Polly Darling.
Polly Darling's a nice filly, but she's injured. She'll be back in the autumn. She's owned by Steve Gibson, Middlesbrough owner, and his wife and daughter own it officially. But yeah, Steve's, that's the first horses he's been involved in on his own, I believe. So yeah, no, that's an interesting one. So she won first runner for him. They also had a nice colt that ran disappointing but came back with an injury at York. So they've been a bit unlucky there, but hopefully both of them will be back in the autumn.
Jan Steen, ALMOSH'HER Racing 2-year-old.
He'll go for I'm pretty sure he'll go for the Windsor Castle. Yeah, he's a good quality colt and improving, and his run at York I think was better than it looks like. You know, he had a penalty and he ran very well. They were second with another colt first time out. I think that's probably a good colt, but I think that goes for the Coventry, and Jan Steen will go for the Windsor Castle.
SAXAPHONICS, another ALMOSH'HER Racing 2-year-old.
Lovely Dubawi colt, yeah, very nice colt. Don't know how good he is yet, but he's a beautiful colt, like, you know. So hopefully he'll be one of those that develops into a real good, high quality 3-year-old.
Just 2 more. Is Majestic Ruler 2-year-old?
Majestic Ruler is a Shaker Bade horse in the
yeah.
Wild Mix. Yeah, he's a lovely colt, but very, very laid back by Supremacy. Beautiful looking colt, but he's showing very little at the moment. But I think he's just very idle and very backward. And although he'll be a speedy horse, he'll be a horse for later in the season, I think. All right? Who's that? Whoa. Oh, right. Just watch you don't kick at you there. That's Lauren's first foal. That's first ambition. He's a 4-year-old out of Lauren's. He won first time up, and then he got a few injuries, but he's just coming back now.
She was a brilliant mare, wasn't she?
Fantastic mare, yeah. She used to live there where all the name plaques are on the door there. Yeah, she was a great filly. You don't realise how good they are until they're gone, really. I mean, there's not many that win six Group 1s.
Good box as well, SPYCATCHER now.
Yeah, Spy's in there, and yeah, but it's a lucky box, I suppose. Need a bigger door soon, hopefully. Hey, Spy. He ran a great race the other day. Dirty nose. There we. Good lad. Good lad.
Yeah, any more?
Just one more, sorry. I had a couple of seals. So AZIZAM?
AZIZAM, yeah, he won really well.
Yeah.
I'd say he'll definitely go to Ascot, all being well. I'm not sure which race yet, either Windsor Castle, could possibly go for the Norfolk.